Hello and welcome to the second live video broadcast from the Theirworld Innovation Awards. I'm Angela Solomon, a projects consultant with Theirworld and innovation team lead, and today I'm going to be speaking to Liz Duggan, who is a project coordinator and who will speak more about her role in a second. Just before we get started, a reminder, if you're joining us, that if you'd like to read the captions, please click the CC button at the bottom of your screen and you can read along to this session. So hi Liz, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you're Theirworld's youth team project coordinator, but you're also playing a really key role in the innovation team. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm the Innovation Awards coordinator, which means I've been involved in designing the application process for these awards and been managing the eligibility and application forms that have come in as we've received them. I'm also involved with setting up and communicating with the judging panel, and that's kind of why I'm here today, is that in this role, I've seen the applications and I know a little bit about what the judges are looking for.
Great, yes, because of course, as we speak, we are 3 days out from the deadline to submit applications to the Theirworld Education Innovation Awards. And one reason we're doing this session is to help those organisations that have already started their application but haven't submitted it yet to really optimise and get the best chances of success. So we'll mostly be speaking about how to optimise your application, which is kind of mostly relevant for organisations that have already passed the eligibility check and already know something about the Innovation Awards. But before we dive into that, we'll give a bit more of an overview. So first of all, if you're watching this and you haven't already discovered more about the Theirworld Education Innovation Awards, then you can find out a lot more information on our website. The link is appearing on the screen now. Essentially, it's our programme in 2021 and 22 to support non-profit education innovations to scale up. We've identified that scaling is a real challenge for lots of organisations, and there are fantastic innovations with huge potential that need a bit of extra support to reach scale. So we have a programme to select 5 award winners who will receive a £50,000 scale readiness grant, along with support workshops to help develop a scale-up plan and implement it, and targeted mentoring and one-to-one sessions to help the team grow. If you want to have more information, please check the website. And what we'll really focus on in this session is around the application process and how to get the most out of that. So, Liz, would you like to give us a little intro to the application process and how that works? Should we share the slides?
Let's share the slides.
Fabulous.
So
okay.
I'm going to start briefly by mentioning our eligibility stage. Then I'm going to take you through an overview of the application. And then after that, Angela and I are going to talk through some top tips for a great application before we close with a Q&A. So first and foremost, for this presentation, as Angela just mentioned, it works best if you've already completed the eligibility form. Otherwise, the information might not be totally relevant to you. It takes 3 minutes, and if successful, you will receive a link to the application form. Now, if you are watching this presentation, chances are you have completed the eligibility form and you have been successful in reaching these criteria that are on the screen now. And even if you think you might not hit every one of these perfectly, I would still encourage you to check your eligibility, as we may be able to get in touch when a suitable opportunity comes up. On our website, you can find a full list of our eligibility requirements, and they're listed here as well at the start of the eligibility form that is on screen now. So the application, here's the heavy one. The application takes about 30 to 40 minutes to complete and consists of 34 questions of different lengths, some checkboxes, some multiple choice, short answers, long answers. Please make sure to check how long your answers can be for each question, and I'll come back to that point in one of our top tips. Deadline for this application is 23:59 BST on the 11th of June, this Friday, 2021. The deadline for the eligibility is 24 hours earlier. Any applications received after this date won't be considered, so make sure you get them in. The application form itself covers 6 general areas. The first one are your personal details, and this is where we'll find out how Theirworld will contact you as well as some more details about your organisation. Then we'll ask about your innovation and the problem that it's addressing. And the more detail that you can give us here, the better. We'll also ask in section 3 for any evidence and evaluation that can support your application. Anything that you have that supports your innovation is worth mentioning at this stage. We'll then get a little bit more into your team organisation, and this includes any partners, champions, decision makers, anyone else who is involved in your project. Number 5, we'll get your financial details. So we'll find out a little bit more about your funding, about your budget. And we do ask that you use the template that we've provided, which you can also find on our website. And lastly, we'll cover any media that you want to provide. So any supporting documentation, any social media links that you have, and crucially, a 2-minute video or audio recording that tells us a little bit more about you, about your organisation, about your innovation.
Great. Thanks, Liz. So that's an overview of how it all works. And now for the rest of the session, we're planning to take a bit more of a deep dive into how to really create a great application. Of course, probably lots of the organisations watching have filled in tons of these types of forms before, but we've really put a lot of effort into designing this process for Theirworld and to make sure that it really works for the innovation awards that we want to distribute. So where specifically for our process, where should people begin?
Good question. So I would recommend that people start by checking out their PDF of the questions in advance, so you can think of the questions before you submit them. So as I explained, once you successfully complete your eligibility form, you will receive a link to the application form, but this might not happen straight away. So the top tip is to download the application questions from the website before you start the actual form. And we do this so that you've got time to really think about your answers and make sure that you're prepared for the questions. Sometimes when filling out a form, you don't always know how long you've got left, how many questions you've got to go, what's coming up. So this download gives you the chance to see them in advance, so there's no surprises. You can also find out how long your answers are, which brings me to top tip number 2. Lovely, beautiful. What I suggest is that you take advantage of the word count. In this situation, we think more is more. So this application is your chance to present your innovation and your team to us, and that's all we've got to go on. So the word counts we've provided are chosen to give you the space to say what you need to say. And the more you can tell us, the more we can assess whether or not you would be a good fit for these awards.
So use the application, the amount of capacity we've put in the application, use the word count wisely. Some organisations have asked us what makes a really good answer to the questions on the form.
It's a fair question and one that we get a lot. I would suggest in top tip number 3 that you make sure that your answers are tailored to the questions. Make sure you're answering the questions that we're asking and mention the awards if you can. Really read the questions. Like in this one, for example, in this question about the budget, we want to know specifically how you would spend the money on activities related to scale up. So focus your answer on that and try to avoid answering more generally. We want the specifics. In this question, we also ask you to download and use the template that we've provided. And this gives the judges a good idea of what your intentions are, and it will improve the clarity of your application. And I just slipped into top tip number 4 there. Got it. Was be as specific as you can. So if you're saying what problem your innovation is addressing, say exactly what you're working on. Don't just say the education crisis. That's why we're here. We want to know specifics. So to give yourself the best chance, we want to know what is innovative about your innovation. The more you're specific you are, the more your application will stand out from the rest.
And that's really important because, I mean, you and I have a really keen interest, although we're not judging the applications, we're part of the team that we run in the awards, and we're really keen to understand more about the organisations who are applying, because the ones who are selected will be spending a lot of time with us, and we want to really know kind of how best we can support. So we have a question on the application form that some people will be absolutely dreading, which is the final, one of the final questions that asks teams to upload a video recording, or it can also be an audio recording. So any tips for that?
Yeah, we do sneak it in at the end there, but that's why if you download the questions before, it shouldn't come as a nasty surprise. So tip number 5, we ask that you upload your video or your audio recording as a link This can be to YouTube, Vimeo, Loom, any other video hosting platform. But crucially, just make sure that the permissions are public so that we can see it. And it's important this is a link. If you're uploading it as a file, we might not always be able to download them. And if we can't download them, they won't be included in your application, unfortunately. And as I mentioned, make sure that it is public. Again, if we can't see it, the judges won't see it. Top tip number 6 is on the video again, make sure that it is 2 minutes long, no more than 2 minutes long. And we ask this because we want to give everybody a fair shot at these awards. We think 2 minutes is a good length for you to tell us everything that you didn't get the chance to say in your application. And it's really important that you stick to this time, as the judges will be expecting 2-minute videos and won't sit through 20 minutes if that's what you've provided. So don't wait until the end to give us your key points. Make sure you get them in there in your 2 minutes.
Fantastic. So at this point, I'm just going to pause for a second and remind everybody who's watching this live that if you have specific questions about the application, please pop them into the chat. We'll actually have a little bit of time at the end here for questions. And we do have some that have already been submitted, which is great. So please don't hold back. If there's something you want to know about this process, just ask the question now, and we'll try and get to as many questions as we can at the end.
Absolutely.
So, all right, that's all great. I know you have some other tips, and some of them are around what should organisations avoid doing in the application.
Yeah. So on avoiding, on tip number 7, we do suggest that you link your organisation's social media channels, not your personal ones. These links are a chance for you to share your public organisation or project profiles. Your personal profiles won't necessarily help the judges in their assessment. Yes, and make sure you're linking your social media channels of your organisation or project. Top tip number 8. Now, if I had to choose my favourite top tip, I think this is my favourite top tip, because for me, every question is an opportunity. And saying no to a question, while you may think, actually, my answer is no, if you've got 1,000 characters to use, then use them. If your answer is no, then we want to know, okay, that's fine. For example, here, if you've been externally evaluated, well, if you haven't, that's fine, but try to tell us a little bit more. We want to know, for example, if you haven't had any external evaluation, tell us about any evaluation that you do have. Tell us what your plans are for getting more. Tell us, what you intend to do to turn this no into a yes. No doesn't mean you'll automatically be ignored, but tell us more.
I super agree with that one. That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And top tip number 9 probably runs a close second to my favorite top tip, is be honest about the risks your innovations face. It's better to know now, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with risks. We even say all innovations are subject to risk, otherwise it wouldn't be an innovation. So this is also a good question to answer more than no. We know that all innovations have risks, and it's better that we're aware of them. And it also shows us that you are aware of them and that you can take steps to reduce or minimize the risks, or you can adapt or pivot away from them. Saying that your innovation doesn't have risks is, I would say, a not good answer to this question.
Understood. And so, okay, we've covered 9 top tips, and we'll shortly go on to answer some questions that people have submitted. But obviously, we're expecting a number 10. Is there anything else you think that people should know?
Well, to make it a nice round 10, we'll go to top tip number 10. And this top tip is to make sure that you share the job titles and the names of your team who would participate in the classes. It's important that we know how your people fit into your organization. So specifically here is we also want their job titles. We want to know where they fit. We want to make sure that if you are successful, that our workshops are tailored to the people who are in the virtual room, as it were. So it's great to know that Liz and Angela are in your team, but who are they? What do they do? And we don't know that unless you tell us. And this question gives us an idea of your team's organization. And it's also going to be one of the criteria that the judges will be marking against. So it's important you let us know who you are and who your team is.
Like this.
Just like that. And there we go, my top 10 tips for a great application.
Fantastic, thank you, and thank you so much for kind of really delving into not just the process that we designed together, but also looking at the types of applications that are being submitted and the questions that people have sent us, and really putting together something we hope is really useful for people who are applying.
It's been a delight to see them. It's lovely getting these applications in. Reading about what people are doing. It's so excited about these awards.
So brilliant to see, the real world things happening that we can support and hopefully work alongside. So yes, brilliant.
Exactly.
So let's take some questions. I'm going to stop sharing the slides. Here we go. So actually, what your final tip there was about the workshops. So you were saying that we want to tailor the classes as much as we can to those who are in the room, so that they'll be as useful as possible. Can you give us a little reminder of what will the workshops be about and what they'll cover?
Yeah, so I can give you a sort of a rough idea of the things in the workshops. We're still working through the details. So the content isn't totally nailed down yet, as I said, because we want to adapt it. We want to make it as useful for you. So I can't go into too much detail as to what they're going to involve.
Broadly speaking, just kind of what does the program, how will people benefit from the program?
Yeah, well, so we're going to be giving you, there'll be things on advocacy, giving you an idea of what advocacy means and how you can best attribute that to your business planning or strategy. We'll be going more into your monitoring and evaluation and learning. That's a big part of what we want, is to make sure that you build in that self-reflection and sort of self-analysis of your innovation in your organization. And we're also going to be looking at sort of more of like a long-term scale strategy, is what we're hoping that everyone is going to be able to build by the end of it. So whether you're successful all the way through the program or not, like, you will have something tangible to work with. Yeah, and that will be, I think, so there'll be 10 finalists who will come to these introductory workshops, which will be a sort of mini program, and those 10 finalists will come out with these scale-up plans and a gaps analysis and kind of really a good sense of what they need to do to scale. So whether or not they are then the final selected 5 award winners, they'll also have this really useful kind of bank of knowledge and planning that they can build on separately. And then, for the 5 award winners, this masterclass program that will really go in depth on those areas that you mentioned. We really hope that will be high value for everybody. We strongly believe that it will. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's the mentoring, which we haven't really mentioned very much on this call, but there'll be also one-to-one mentoring with a scale-up expert and with a monitoring and evaluation expert as well. So really, want to walk hand in hand with these organizations as they develop. And also we should say that we have another live stream that we did a few days ago, which goes into more detail about what's actually in the program and how the program works. So if you haven't seen that and you're watching and you'd like to, then on our Facebook and YouTube, so on Theirworld's Facebook and YouTube channels, you can find that live stream as well, and a lot more information about the background to how the awards came about and what they're all about. Back to the subject of the workshops, some teams who are applying have asked us, do we have to come to all of the classes? We hope obviously everyone's going to be really keen to come to all of them, but I guess some people may be worried about the time commitment. What would be your advice on that question? Yeah, it's a fair question. It is a commitment, and it's not something we want to put people off, but make them realise that this is a commitment. And I guess my answer is that we do expect teams to come to all of the workshops and masterclasses if they're successful. Certainly, it's highly recommended that your core team, however big that is, that they attend all the workshops. Like, they're specifically designed to take your initiative to the next level. So we really want you to benefit from them. These workshops are for you. They're not for me. That said, if you do have certain team members within your team who are specialists on MEL, for example, on the monitoring and evaluation and learning, and you want them to attend just that workshop, that's fine. They don't need to come to all of them if you think that their specialism only lends them to one or two.
Brilliant. So I think, yeah, those are the main questions that people have asked us about the workshops. And just looking here, there are a couple more about the forms and the process. So one of them was, if I exceed the eligibility criteria and I've passed the eligibility check, should I still go through and submit an application?
If you exceed the criteria, then yeah, I mean, I think it's always worth putting the application in. If you don't try, you don't know. You can always, if you have any questions or if you want to sort of double check before spending the time on the application, then you're welcome to email us at the innovation@theirworld.org email. But my advice to you would be apply and see what happens, because at the end of the day, as we said, we're not judging these. Somebody else is. The judges are going to judge them, and we don't know who they're going to choose. So just take the shot.
Yes, exactly. Get out there. I mean, I'm sure that people who have gone as far as submitting the eligibility form are highly motivated and really suitable for this. So yeah, definitely echo that, and please do apply. And we should maybe say just a quick word about how judging works. We've mentioned a couple of times that we're not the judges. We thought that wouldn't be right. So we've assembled a technical panel of education experts and innovation or scale-up experts who will, some of whom are from within Theirworld and some of whom are external, who will score the first round applications and make a recommendation, which will be put to Theirworld's trustees for sign-off. Then our 10 finalists will be selected from that process. And they will then go through the introductory workshops and submit their scale-up plans, which will form the basis then for a second round of judging, which will be a senior level panel who will offer feedback and constructive ideas around those plans, and will make a recommendation to Theirworld's trustees about who should be the final award winners. And we expect the final award winners to be announced in around the end of September or early October. Very excited for the program to start in October.
Yeah, big time.
So one question also that's been asked, and I think it's a fair question, is on the application form, what are the most important questions? Where should organisations focus their effort?
Yeah, that's great. That's an easy question, actually. All of them. The answer. All these questions are on there for a reason. They're all important. So we want your answers to make sure that they give us like an overall clear picture of your innovation and your organisation, so that the judges can really see the impact and the potential of your work. Every question. Make sure you've got your answers for them, because you don't want one poor answer to let down your whole application.
Oh, for sure, that would be a real shame.
It would.
And I suppose the reason we ask all these questions is that we really want to get an overview of what the organisation's all about. As you said, who's the team behind it, and we want to want to help the judges to make decisions which will give us a cohort where everybody is in the same kind of stage and ready to kind of address the same types of issues. So it is really important to be comprehensive, and I think to make sure that while no one question is more important than the others, that the overall picture that you're presenting of your innovation is really clear and comprehensive. I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what if people, so I think, hang on, we may have one more question. I think that we get a couple of requests for more information. How do I find out more?
Yeah, great. So it's come up a couple of times. I think our link to our website, which has got all of the stuff that we've mentioned, the eligibility criteria, recording guidance, budget template, PDF questions, a whole long list of FAQs. So this is your first port of call. We've also got, as Angela mentioned, a previous live stream on our YouTube. This one will also go up there if you missed any of it or want to rewatch. And if any of your questions aren't answered, either through the videos or you can't find the answers on the websites, then do email innovation@theirworld.org. And we will get back to you as soon as possible with the answers to your questions. But don't leave it until last minute. The sooner that you can get these questions and applications in, then the better chance we have of getting back to you in time.
Yeah, of course, because we couldn't guarantee if somebody emailed us just before the deadline that we would be able to respond before it. And we don't want people to miss out. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Liz. Thanks for the presentation and for the 10 top tips. Any last words before we wrap up?
only that I'm looking forward to seeing the applications, seeing what comes in. So yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having this conversation with me. I really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Well, then just a final reminder to anyone who's watching that the deadlines are Thursday at the end of the day, British summertime, for the eligibility form, and Friday, end of the day, British summertime, for the full application form. So really, as we speak, it's 3 days out. Please do go ahead and submit your application. If you've been found to be eligible but haven't yet submitted, we strongly encourage you to go that final mile. We're really looking forward to hearing more about your innovation. There is another live stream that you can watch by going to our Facebook or YouTube channels, Theirworld's Facebook and YouTube channels, which are just displaying there at the bottom of the screen. And so if you want more information about the awards, you can find it there or on our website. And if you have any questions, you can email innovation@theirworld.org. We would love to hear from you. So we wish everybody the best of luck and can't wait to see your applications. And we'll end it here. Thank you so much, Liz. Thanks, everybody.